Cheers to everyone for watching. My name is Mitchell. You're watching the Stereo Picture Society. This is a channel where I review Canadian albums, and today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be reviewing a few albums that were released over the last few weekends from London, Ontario by people that I knew. These are albums that I had seen being promoted on social media by friends of mine. Before I get into these albums, I do want to point out that these are my own opinions. I feel like me discussing them are going to help not only the scene grow and people understand what kind of music is happening in the scene, but also help the artists and the band members and everybody. Even though these are my own critical thoughts on the music, some of them may be good, some of them may be bad, I think that this honesty will help them understand what people may be looking for in the music. I'm not looking to hurt anybody, I'm not looking to throw shade. All I want is for our local music scenes to make some really excellent material. So yeah, getting into the little quick reviews. The first album that I want to review is by Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies, and their album's called Room to Grow. Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies are a six-piece folk rock band. They were originally based in London, Ontario from Fanshaw's Music Industry Arts program, but are now currently based in Toronto. They've been around for a few years now. And as far as I know, this is their debut album. They had released a couple of EPs before this. So they've come through with an 8-track, half-hour album. This definitely has a lot of country influence that I found in it, a lot of sweet harmonies, 60s style chord progressions, and a very lighthearted feel to it as well. I think the one defining factor on this album is that it is very, very nice, like kindergarten music level nice. And we see that through Olivia's songwriting, which is very sweet, very green, but also very gentle and not in your face. I thought it was a little interesting that the songs were too nice and too unoffensive, but there were rarely moments on this album where I thought that it was over-dramatized, and I thought those over-dramatized songs made for a more interesting listen. For instance, the one standout song on this album for me is the song Baby, which has this really sweet, gentle groove to it, and lyrically, Olivia's talking about how she feels like a baby whenever X and Y happens. And I thought that was pretty interesting because it suited Olivia's sweet and childish presentation. But nothing else on this album caught as if there was any self-deprecation, any dramatization. They were all just nice performances. The album was well produced. So I think it'd be interesting moving forward for Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies to maybe see some different narratives, different personalities. Because I do think they have a nice vibe, a sweet vibe, and characteristics that I think people will be coming back to listen to. But I do think a bit of that complexity is there, such as on the last track, and I think that complexity could be advanced moving forward. And so I'd be interested in seeing another album from him sometime soon. I thought this was an okay and somewhat interesting listen, and definitely worth talking about. So congrats Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies for your album. I thought it was alright, and I hope for all the best in the future, that you keep on touring and keep on holding yourself together. Next, I want to be giving a shout out to my friend Jericho for his EP Starlight. Cameron has been in the London music scene for quite some time now. He's performed all around the city, and he's put on a lot of open mics, some of which I have been invited to, so I appreciate all of that. And he's out now with his EP. It's his 5 tracks and 15 minutes long. And I liked the tone of this album a lot. It had a lot of slow-paced lyrics. He wasn't rushing to tell a story. I really liked the strings all around the album. I thought the guitar playing was interesting because whenever I had heard Cam, there was just a lot of chords and strumming. Now on this album, there's a lot of finger-picked guitars and some cool instrumentation all around it. I liked how each track revolved around a different location and setting, but for the most part, this entire album focuses on love and heartbreak. And I thought that the singles off of this album hit the most for me. The songs Anchor and Virginia is for Lovers. I think it's a good folk rock EP. It definitely sets a nice tone for Cam to work off of. It's still the same. I hope that he gets more complex into his songs. I hope he keeps on writing more and introduces some interesting instrumentation for his next record. But I think more than all that, I hope that he builds his tone more, that he has a stronger tone in his delivery. But I think everything here is good. I think it's definitely a base hit of an album, and I see a lot of potential for Cam. So great job on your EP, mate. I'm really glad that it came through and came together, and I hope that you keep on building in your humility and your complexity with your songwriting, as I see spots on this album that shines through, and that caught my attention a lot. So keep on going, mate. This is good. Next, I want to be giving a shout out to Lost in Japan for their self-titled album that they released a couple weekends ago. Lost in Japan, again from London, Ontario, are a 4-piece rock outfit, and they released their album, which is 12 tracks and about 50 minutes long. Now, I had caught Lost in Japan live for their album release. It was a really exciting show. They had some great opening acts, and I really liked their energy when they were on stage, and it made all their songs sound really good. I thought the sound was amazing for that live show. But when I listened to this album after this show, I thought the production paled in comparison to the live show. And the reason I think I'm comparing is because I see a lot of elements from when they had performed live on this record. I think live the songs are allowed to be a lot more loose and jammy, but on this record a lot of the songs don't sound as tight and they do sound loose. But they also sound really dry as well. I don't know what it is, but the drums and the vocals for the most part sound fairly dry, not as produced, very basic in tone. Even though I think the production is the biggest weakness on here, I did like a couple of the tracks on here. The song Orpheus was pretty nice. I really liked the layered guitars and chord arrangements on here. I liked all the different rhythms and melodies that all the instruments and vocals were doing on the song For Your Heart. But I think what would make people interested in this record are the nice riffs on this album. I think Addison's vocal performance is solid. He is being pretty ambitious in a lot of his falsettos, but I think that the band could be a lot stronger in their performances on the recordings next time, because I know that the band and each individual member are pretty hot-blooded and sweaty in their performances, and I wish I heard more of that on this record. Also, the last song on this record, Lighthouse Part 2, is an 8.5-minute song. I didn't like it. I wished that the record ended pretty sooner, and I think it just made for an even looser album with this 8.5-minute track being on there. Still, I thought this was a decent project. I think it's worth shedding some light on, and I hope for all the best with Lost in Japan. To be honest, listening to this album made me feel like dropping everything, spending all of my money on studio equipment rentals, going over to London, grabbing the guys, saying like, hey, grab your equipment, grab all your songs and demos and stuff, you're coming with me. Going over to a barn or a studio and then spending 2 months or so just producing, recording, writing, and just spending all that time with them and expecting nothing in return. So to make that short, listening to this album made me see a lot of potential in this band and made me want to produce them. Now, of course, that would all be a fantasy and that would all depend on whether the band would like that. But I definitely felt that I can provide some pressure, some honesty, some critical feedback, and just add that to their sound and pressure it all together and just make them release something that's really, really good and have a hand in that and just make a really exciting and good album. That's what I want to do. Okay, and the last London artist that I want to quickly review is Charlie Weber. Charlie's new album, Old Habits, came out last weekend. This was the album that I was saving this video for because I knew that his album would come out. And I gotta say, Charlie nailed it. He nailed it. This is a sweet listen. And I think I'm going to be doing a separate video for Charlie, but since I was waiting all this time to make this video, I will say that this is a 12-track 40-minute folk rock record. There's a lot of different lyric topics and a lot of tones, a lot of interesting instrumentation on this album, a lot of really sweet lyrics that Charlie wrote and performed quite honestly and quite with heart. And I really liked all the diverse topics that Charlie had talked about, all the different genres that he took influence from, such as like full-on hard rock, kind of going into political folk as well, and also getting into harmonies, introducing a female singer on the song Carter and Cash. I was anticipating this record for a while and I am very pleased with how everything came out. So I'm going to be doing a full review sometime this week on this album. So congratulations, Charlie. Great job on the album. So yeah, that's my little quickie review of London, Ontario's music for the last couple of weekends. If you liked what I had to hear, make sure you subscribe. You can subscribe to my channel. yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is Mitchell Hall SPS. You can also please browse some of my other videos, some of my other Canadian album reviews. Links to everybody that I had mentioned are in the description below, and some of my links are down there as well. And that's pretty much it. I hope you all are enjoying yourselves today. Cheers again for watching. My name has been Mitchell, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.